My name is Claire Holloway, and I'm 33 years old. I knew something was wrong the moment my boyfriend asked me to dinner. Not because we never went out, but because he chose that restaurant, the one with the low amber lights, the quiet piano, the same corner near the window where we had celebrated our anniversary 2 years earlier. It was the kind of place couples chose for serious conversations, the kind of place where people hoped the setting would soften what they were about to do. So when his text came that afternoon, "Let's have dinner tonight. I need to talk to you," I didn't panic. I looked at the screen and thought, so this is when you finally say it out loud. By then, I had spent a week watching him change in ways that were too small to deny and too obvious to ignore. At first, it was his phone. Evan had never been secretive before. He used to leave it on the kitchen counter, on the couch, on the bed. Then suddenly, it never left his hand. If I walked into the room while he was texting, he turned the screen away without even thinking. Then came the late-night messages. He would sit on the edge of the bed, face lit by his phone, typing quietly while he thought I was asleep. If I asked who it was, he always said the same thing: work. Strange how work had suddenly learned how to make him smile at midnight. I never fought him for the phone. I never demanded proof. I watched. People reveal more when they think they're getting away with something. 3 days later, I found the second sign. I was using the laptop in the living room when I noticed a browser tab still open. Apartment listings. Different neighborhoods, different rents, one-bedroom units. At first, I told myself it could mean anything. Then I saw the saved favorites. 12 of them. Not curiosity, not random browsing, a plan. I sat there with my hand on the trackpad and felt something cold settle inside me. He wasn't confused. He wasn't struggling with guilt. He was arranging his exit. After that, everything became easy to read. The smile at his phone, the excuses about traffic and late meetings, the way he sat beside me while feeling emotionally somewhere else. That was the worst part. Not some dramatic explosion, not a shouting match, just the slow humiliation of realizing someone could ask how your day was, kiss your forehead, and still be building another life behind your back. One night, while he was answering a message, I caught a name on the screen before it disappeared. Sabrina. He noticed me notice. "Just someone from the office," he said too quickly. I smiled faintly. I didn't ask. That night, I lay awake and admitted the truth to myself. He was waiting for the right moment to leave me, and I was waiting for the right moment to make sure he understood what leaving would actually cost. The hurt didn't disappear. It stayed exactly where it was, sharp, humiliating, hot enough to make my throat ache when I let myself think too long about him saying my name to someone else. But pain stopped making me passive. It made me careful. So over the next few days, I paid attention. I checked what was actually shared and what only looked shared because we had been together so long. I reviewed the accounts, the payments, the lease, the subscriptions, the cards, the transfers, and the truth was simple. The apartment lease had always been in my name. The major savings came from my income. The investment accounts were mine. There was a joint household account for groceries, utilities, and routine expenses, but most of the structure of our life sat on a foundation I had built. Evan had been living inside that stability so long, he had mistaken it for ownership. Once I understood that, I made practical decisions. I moved my personal funds into accounts only I could access. I froze shared cards tied to my credit. I transferred my portion of the joint balance and flagged the rest for separation and review. I changed the passwords on everything linked only to me. I wasn't stealing from him. I was closing the doors he assumed would stay open after he walked out. By the time his dinner text arrived, I was ready. I took longer getting dressed than I needed to. Not because I wanted to impress him, but because I wanted to walk in composed. I chose a black dress he always liked and a coat warm enough for the evening air. In the mirror, I looked calm. I did not feel calm, but sometimes composure is the only dignity betrayal leaves you at first. When I arrived, he was already there. Same table area near the window, same soft music, same atmosphere that had once meant something. He stood when he saw me and smiled in that practiced way people do when they want to seem kinder than they are being. "You look nice," he said. "So do you." He held my chair the way he always used to, and for one strange second I wondered whether he understood the cruelty of bringing me back to a place tied to memory so he could end something here. Maybe he did. Maybe that was the point. We ordered. Barely touched the food. He kept reaching for his water glass, then setting it down again. His eyes flicked toward me and away. I had known him long enough to recognize nerves when they tried to disguise themselves as resolve. Finally, he put his fork down. "Claire," he said quietly, "there's something I need to tell you." I nodded once. "Okay." He hesitated, almost like some part of him had expected resistance before he even began. Then he said it. "I've been unfaithful." There it was. No gentle setup, no euphemism, just a clean statement dropped between us like that made it honest. He watched my face, waiting for shock, anger, maybe tears. Instead, I picked up my glass, took a sip, and set it down. "I know." His expression changed instantly. What?" "I know," I repeated. "That's not possible. How would you even—" "You stopped hiding it well." He stared at me, almost offended. I wasn't hiding anything. I raised an eyebrow. "You take your phone everywhere like it contains state secrets. You've been coming home late for a week, and you've been browsing apartments." That hit him. I saw it in the way his shoulders tensed. "How did you—" "You left the laptop open." He sat there recalculating, the confidence he came in with flickering. "I was just looking. It didn't mean anything. 12 saved apartments is a lot of curiosity." His jaw tightened. This wasn't supposed to happen like this. I tilted my head. How is it supposed to happen? He looked down at the table, then back at me. "I thought you'd fight for me." That almost made me laugh. "You cheated on me," I said quietly, "and you expected a speech about love?" "That's not what I meant. I thought you'd care more." There it was, not remorse, expectation. "I do care," I said. Something hopeful flashed briefly in his eyes. "That's why I prepared." The hope died immediately. Prepared for what? I set my glass down carefully. Once I realized what was happening, I had a few days to think. And when people have time to think, they make plans. His fingers curled against the table. What kind of plans? The practical kind. Now he was paying full attention. "Claire," he said, "you're starting to sound extreme." "Am I?" "Yes, this doesn't have to turn ugly." I almost smiled. It already was. "I agree," I said calmly. "It doesn't have to be ugly. That's why I handled things quietly." He frowned. "What things?" I unlocked my phone and set it on the table between us. Over the last few days, I've been separating what belongs to me from what only looked shared because we were together. His expression sharpened. "What does that mean?" "It means my accounts are secured. My cards are locked. My investments are no longer accessible to anyone but me. The joint household balance has been frozen for review and separated according to contribution." The color drained from his face. "You can't do that." "I already did. That money belongs to both of us." "Some of it did," I said evenly. "And the part that is legally yours will remain yours. But you're not walking out of this relationship expecting continued access to accounts, credit lines, and savings built primarily under my name." He leaned forward, voice low with anger. "You're being insane." "Am I? You already decided to leave." "That's different." "How?" He opened his mouth, then closed it, because there was no answer that didn't expose exactly what he had expected, to keep the benefits of our life while replacing me inside it. Then, as if he needed to reclaim some control, he said, "My girlfriend will help me anyway." The word sat there between us. Girlfriend. Not hesitation, not guilt, just transition. I nodded slowly. "Good." He frowned. "What do you mean, good?" "Because I'd love to see how that works out when the fantasy turns into rent, bills, deposits, moving costs, and everything else you clearly didn't plan." His confidence flickered. "She won't mind." "Maybe not," I said. "But rent isn't the only issue." He stared at me. "What are you talking about?" I turned the phone toward him. "Take a look." He picked it up. His eyes moved across the screen once, then again more slowly. "This is the lease," he said. "Why does it only have your name on it?" "Because it always did." No, this is our apartment." "Emotionally, maybe. Legally, no." His grip tightened around the phone. "You're telling me I've been living somewhere I have no claim to?" "I'm telling you that you never bothered to check because comfort made you careless." He let out a short, disbelieving laugh. "That's ridiculous." "Is it?" "Yes, you wouldn't actually make me leave." I held his gaze. "Try me." For the first time that night, I saw real uncertainty break through. He leaned back, ran a hand through his hair, and tried to regroup. "You're overreacting. This doesn't have to be hostile." "You think this is hostile?" I asked quietly. "You planned an exit, found someone else, and brought me here to deliver it like a formality." "That's not fair. And you expected me to what? Cry? Beg? Make it easier for you?" He looked away. After a long silence, he reached for his phone. "Fine. I'm done arguing about this. I'll just call her." "Go ahead," I said. He glanced at me, maybe expecting me to stop him. I didn't. So he dialed. "Hey," he said, voice softening instantly. "Can you come here? Yeah, now. I'll explain when you get here. He hung up and set the phone down. She's coming. Good. That unsettled him. What do you mean, good? Dinner just got more interesting. He studied me, realizing he was still missing something. She's not what you think, he said defensively. I'm sure she's not. She understands me. Of course she does. You don't get to judge her. I'm not judging her, I said calmly. I'm looking forward to meeting her. That answer bothered him more than anger would have. He crossed his arms. You'll see. She's different. She's confident, successful, and she actually appreciates me. That word again, appreciates. Like I had failed some invisible test. That's good, I said. He leaned forward. You know what your problem is? I met his gaze. What? You got comfortable. You stopped trying. You stopped making me feel special. I let him finish. Then I nodded once. You're right. That stopped him cold. What? I got comfortable, I said. That's what happens when you trust someone. He blinked, thrown off because agreement wasn't part of the scene he had written in his head. Then the restaurant door opened. He straightened immediately. That's her. I turned as Sabrina walked in. Mid-30s, polished, confident posture, the kind of woman who knew how to occupy a room without asking permission. She spotted our table, smiled at him, and walked over. When she reached us, he stood up fast. Hey, he said, tone suddenly lighter. She hugged him like this was all natural, like I wasn't sitting 3 feet away. Then she pulled back and looked at me. There was curiosity in her expression, maybe even a hint of satisfaction. This is her? She asked. He nodded. Yeah. She took the seat beside him and gave me a polite smile. Hi. Hi. For a few seconds, none of us spoke. Then she folded her hands on the table and said lightly, I guess you know. I do. I'm sorry you had to find out like this, she said. That almost made me smile. Not because it was kind, because it sounded rehearsed. Beside her, Evan shifted as if relieved she had taken over. This wasn't how we planned it, he added. We. Interesting. Of course not, I said calmly. Plans don't usually account for being caught. Her eyes flickered, but she smoothed it over quickly. Sometimes things just happen. Relationships don't always work out the way we expect. I studied her. Confident, controlled, careful. She wasn't here to fight. She was here to step into a place she thought had already been vacated. She deserves to be happy, Evan said, gesturing toward Sabrina as if he were presenting evidence. I looked at her. You really believe that? I do, she said. He's been unhappy for a long time. There it was, the version of the story she had been given, or chosen to believe. Interesting, I said. Evan frowned. What? I'm curious what version of the story you heard. She tilted her head. What do you mean? I turned my phone toward her. I mean this. The moment she looked at the screen, something changed. It was subtle, but unmistakable. Her posture stiffened. Evan noticed. What is it? He asked. She kept reading. You sent this? She asked slowly, looking up at me. This afternoon. Now Evan looked between us. What message? She finally looked at him, and for the first time since she sat down, she didn't look fully confident. I didn't think it mattered, she said. That was the wrong answer. What do you mean it didn't matter? He asked. I leaned back and watched the shift begin. You didn't tell him, I said calmly. Her jaw tightened. Tell me what? Evan demanded. Neither of them answered quickly enough, so I did. I contacted her earlier today. He turned to me sharply. You what? Relax, I wanted clarity. He looked at Sabrina. Why didn't you tell me? She hesitated. Because I wasn't sure it changed anything. He didn't like that. I could see it. For the first time, he wasn't controlling the story between them. What did she say to you? He pressed. I offered her a deal, I said. Both of them looked at me. A deal, he repeated. She didn't repeat it. She already knew. What kind of deal? He asked. The kind people make when everyone involved is about to be affected. That doesn't answer my question. No, I said, but it sets the tone. He looked at her again. What is she talking about? She hesitated, then said quietly, You should let her explain. And that was the moment everything tilted. Up until then, he thought she was fully on his side. That one sentence created distance. I met his eyes. Earlier today, I gave her 2 options. Option 1, she continues this relationship, and she accepts exactly what comes with it. He straightened slightly, almost hopeful, until I finished. Rent, bills, deposits, moving costs. The reality of supporting a man who walked out before making any solid plan for himself. The hope vanished. What does that mean? He asked. I looked at Sabrina. You understood exactly what I meant. She nodded slowly. His attention snapped to her. Explain. She exhaled. She told me that if I stay with you, I need to stop thinking about this like an affair and start thinking about it like a life. Housing, money, stability. what you actually have, what you don't. That's insane, he snapped. That's not how this works. Isn't it? I asked softly. He ignored me and looked at her. That's not your problem. We'll figure it out. Her eyes flickered. We. But it didn't sound solid anymore. That's what I asked you, she said. What exactly is your plan after tonight? I told you we'd figure it out together. And what does that mean? She asked. He hesitated. There it was, no plan, just momentum and fantasy. I stayed quiet and let the silence do its work. Then she added, she also told me something else. His head turned. What? I tilted mine slightly. You didn't tell him? She shook her head. His patience snapped. What else? I answered for her. Your version of successful isn't very accurate. He turned to me. What is that supposed to mean? It means you presented yourself as stable, independent, ready to start over. But the details don't support that. I am, he said quickly. I held his gaze. Are you? That was enough. Now everything he had said was being measured against facts instead of posture. You told me you were doing well, Sabrina said slowly, that you had savings. I do. How much? He froze. Only for a second, but it was enough. She noticed. I noticed. More importantly, he knew we noticed. That's not the point, he said. It is now, she replied. Her tone had changed. The warmth was gone, replaced by caution. You said you were ready to move out and start fresh, she continued. With what? Silence. The illusion cracked all at once. Because confidence is easy when nobody asks for details. The second someone does, it either holds or it collapses. You're making this complicated, he said. We don't need to plan everything right now. If I'm expected to help carry this, she said, then yes, we do. I'm not asking you to support me. You just said I could take care of you. He opened his mouth, then closed it and looked away. Everything he had been pretending to be slipped in that small movement. I reached into my bag and pulled out a thin envelope. I placed it on the table between us. He looked down. What is that? Clarity. He opened it. Inside were printed documents. The lease, the frozen joint account notice, the card lock confirmations, the payment schedule, the written separation of household contributions, the cancellation notices tied to my accounts. Nothing dramatic. Just structure, reality. His eyes moved quickly, then slowed. You actually did all this? Yes. For what? To punish me? I shook my head. No. To make sure you didn't walk away thinking nothing would follow you. I'm not destroying your life, Evan. I'm refusing to finance the version of it that excludes me. That landed harder than anything else. Sabrina finally spoke, quieter now. How bad is it? He didn't answer. He didn't want to say it out loud. She leaned forward. Evan. Still nothing. So she looked at me, and I held her gaze. Bad enough that vague promises won't fix it, I said. He can leave. He just can't leave expecting continued access to the life I built. She leaned back slowly. Not dramatic. Just distance. He saw it immediately. Don't start overthinking this. I'm not overthinking, she said. I'm understanding. That's the same thing.
No, it's not.
Then she added, You didn't tell me any of this. I didn't think it mattered, he said again, weaker now. It does now. He looked between us, as if he could still hold something together that had already broken. This is being blown out of proportion, he said. We can fix this. She didn't answer. That pause said everything. I stood up slowly, placed cash on the table for my dinner, and picked up my coat. Neither of them stopped me. They were still trying to understand what had happened. Then I looked at him one last time. You wanted a clean ending, I said quietly. This is as close as it gets. Claire! I didn't let him finish. There was nothing left worth hearing. I turned and walked toward the exit. Behind me, I could already hear it starting. Her voice, sharper now. What exactly did you think was going to happen? His, defensive. You said you didn't care about money. I said I didn't care about appearances. That difference hit him too late. Their voices rose behind me. Frustration, blame, panic, reality finally catching up to fantasy. But I didn't turn around. Because the truth was simple. The moment he decided to confess that night, the story between us had already ended. Everything after that was just consequence.